Seiichi is an introvert who has no friend. Bro was a big, fat, pathetic loser who was always bullying on by his classmates for being a big idiot who looked like he about to eat the table every time he hungry. And he despised himself for it, but one day he was transported to a forgotten world where he found a mysterious forbidden fruit that turned him into a Giga Chad, making all the girls notice him. But before this transformation, while he was being bullied in class, a strange voice came through the speaker, telling everyone to sit down and pay attention. Suddenly, an unseen force pushed them into their chairs, but Seiichi's face was still on the floor. The voice announced that they were leaving Earth for a parallel world, which confused everyone, wondering who was talking nonsense. The voice claimed to be some sort of god, saying they would be heroes in the new world. The voice told them they would have unique skills and levels in this new world, and asked them to form a group for immediate transport. The students quickly formed a group. Seiichi got up from the floor and asked to join, but they checked his stats and found him incredibly weak. Moments later, they were all transported, leaving Seiichi behind. The mysterious voice, realizing Seiichi was left out, thought he must be worthless, but decided to give him a unique skill and transported him to a jungle far from everyone else. He became hungry and began searching for food. While looking, he stumbled upon a fruit called the Fruit of Evolution. He ate it, but spit most of it out. Then a voice echoed inside him, revealing that the effects of the Fruit of Evolution had begun. He wondered where the voice was coming from, but ignored it and kept searching for food. Meanwhile, back in the kingdom, the students realized Seiichi was sent elsewhere and thought it was deserved. In the jungle, Seiichi ate 7 out of the 9 remaining fruits of evolution, even though they tasted terrible. At that moment, he gained crucial survival skills, and suddenly, a monkey jumped on him, throwing him like a ball and attacking him fiercely. He quickly drank a recovery potion that healed his wounds instantly, then charged at the monkey and defeated it. The monkey disappeared, leaving behind some items. Seiichi picked up the cards and quickly learned karate skills and the swift movement technique of shadow. Then, his inner voice told him he needed to undergo an evolution transformation. At that moment, his body twisted in pain and his muscles stretched, turning him into a Giga Chad. However, he soon realized he had to go through 9 more painful transformations like this. 5 months later, Seiichi improved the skills he gained from defeating the monkey, earning wild experience and steadily leveling up. One day, while drinking from the river, he was attacked by a huge wolf with a terrifying level of 311. He grabbed a stick to defend himself. The wolf unleashed a powerful energy blast, but Seiichi's quick reflexes allowed him to narrowly dodge it. He jumped into the air and came down with a deadly strike that killed the wolf instantly. The wolf dissolved into meat, bones, and a mysterious chest. From the chest, he gained the wolf's skills, a water spirit dagger, and the ability to use water magic. His body twisted in pain again, signaling the start of a second evolution that knocked him out. When he woke up, he realized he had completed 9 out of 10 evolutions. Looking around, he found himself surrounded by monkeys. Suddenly, an ugly beast named Kong attacked him in midair and challenged him to a fight. Realizing he was outmatched, Seiichi began to say the Lord's Prayer. He checked Kong's level and found out he was a level 700 beast, the king of the monkeys. Kong warned him that his death would be quick and that he would meet the devil in hell for dinner. Kong attacked with a powerful punch, but Seiichi dodged, causing an explosion in the ground. Kong then became infatuated with Seiichi for avoiding his first attack, but Seiichi knew he was in trouble. To prove his bravery, Seiichi kicked at a female gorilla, but missed, and Kong knocked him away with a strong, fiery punch. He crashed to the ground, badly hurt. The female gorilla approached, surprised he wasn't dead. She introduced herself as Saria, and said she loved him for being an alpha male. Seiichi tried to attack Saria, but she dodged and jumped at him with great speed. She missed and created a massive explosion when she hit the ground. Seiichi decided to summon the water spirit dagger and, using his water magic, unleashed a flood of water. Unfortunately, the water splashed back onto his own face. Surya, thinking he was a fool, decided to punch Seiichi in the face. Seiichi tried to shield himself with his hands, but a flurry of punches kept hitting him. With one final fiery punch, Surya sent him flying, and he bled heavily. As Seiichi lay there, convinced he was about to die, he remembered how his classmates used to bully him. This memory fueled his determination, and he got back on his feet, thinking of a way to defeat Surya. Just as she threw a final punch aimed at sending him to Nirvana, he used his terrible armpit smell as a weapon, halting Surya in her tracks. She then declared that she had fallen in love with his scent and wanted to have a baby gorilla with him. Later that day, they had dinner. Seiichi, still in shock, found himself eating with Saria, the female Kong who claimed him as her soulmate. He asked her to let him go, arguing that humans and gorillas were a bad match, but she insisted that her fate was intertwined with his. She revealed that she was looking for her evolution fruit, which she wanted to give to her husband since she had already eaten 9, and consuming a 10th could be fatal. The next day, Sagichi thought of many escape plans. While Sariya was catching fish from the pond, he saw his chance. When she became distracted, he tried to run away but was confronted by a giant scorpion. He was saved by Sariya, who punched the scorpion away. At that moment, Sagichi realized that Lady Kong truly cared for him. Soon after, Sariya went hunting, giving Sagichi another opportunity to escape. He ran as fast as he could, but Sariya was right behind him, surprising him with her speed. He unleashed his inner speed and sprinted like lightning to the entrance of a dark cave. With Sariya closing in, he decided to enter and found a giant eel-shaped door. Foolishly, he opened it, only to be greeted by a demon skeleton head which said it was pleased to see his ugly face and considered him a worthy opponent. After waiting so long for a real fight, Sagichi checked the demon's level and discovered it was a level 1500 entity. Before he could react, the demon's head disappeared and reappeared behind him. The skeleton tried to stab him with its sword, but Sariya saved him by intercepting the blow, getting impaled in the process. She lay on the cave floor, hurt. Sagichi demanded to know why she risked her life for him after he had treated her poorly, but she replied that he was actually kind and fun to be around. She asked as her last request that he always try to smile because his ugly face needed it. The demon's skull found their love story ridiculous, which angered Sagichi. He drew his sword and charged at the demon, activating the instant movement spell. The demon dodged effortlessly. Seichi charged again without hesitation, and their swords clashed fiercely. The demon blasted him away. He summoned the Ocean Impact spell and unleashed a torrent of water at the demon, who created magical holes, allowing the water to flow through them. The demon taunted him to surrender, claiming his efforts were as useless as his foolish lover's face. But then Seichi activated the instant movement spell again and rushed toward the demon, driving his sword into the demon's core. To his surprise, the demon expressed gratitude for being defeated and told Seichi he could now reunite with his beloved Marie. The demon vanished, transforming into glowing particles and leaving behind a book and a chest. To Seichi's astonishment, Saruya morphed into the most attractive anime girl without any plot armor. In disbelief, Seichi watched as she leaped and hugged him, her ample chest pressed against him. Inside the demon's chest, Seichi discovered a shirt, which he offered to Saruya to cover her lovely features. He also found a necklace with a rare pendant, and as he lifted it, he gained new skills, including the ability to wield black magic. His inner voice informed him that he needed to undergo the final evolution transformation. In agony, he evolved into a leaner, more athletic version of himself, leaving Sariya awestruck by his new appearance. He told her he planned to leave the forest, and she decided to follow him wherever he went. At that moment, a cute bunny dressed in a black suit appeared, introducing himself as Mr. Sheep, the dungeon administrator. He rewarded Seichi for clearing the dungeon with a Fruit of Evolution cultivation set and new outfits for both of them. With a wave of his paw, he teleported them out of the forest, landing them in a vast open field. They decided to head to the nearest town to register at an adventurers guild, ensuring they had identification for their new lives. After a short walk, they arrived at the bustling capital city and entered the guild. As they stepped inside, Seichi was greeted by a bizarre sight, a miserable fat man being whipped by a cat lady. Shocked, he quickly closed the door and suggested they find another place for identification. Before they could leave, a muscle-bound man struck a pose and introduced himself as Gussel, the guild master. Reluctantly, they re-entered the guild, where the cat lady transformed her outfit, revealing herself as Adriana, the receptionist. Just as they were about to register, they were interrupted by 3 ruffians. 2 of them insisted Seichi follow them, leaving Sariya behind. Seichi was led before a random guy sporting a mohawk. They ordered him to take off his cloak, exposing his face. The mohawk guy then made some inappropriate advances, which repulsed Seichi. He quickly escaped, sprinting back to the guild at astonishing speed and jumping over rooftops. Upon his return, he discovered that a B-rank adventurer would need to accompany them as a test proctor. Just then, a fierce warrior interrupted their discussion. She was introduced as Astoria, an A-rank adventurer, and Seichi began brainstorming ways to develop this twist in the story, where he could leverage her strength. At first, Astoria dismissed him as insignificant, stating she would rather drink her own vomit than be his proctor. However, Gustel informed her that Shinichi had escaped the repulsive Mohawk pervert and his 2 lackeys. something no one had managed before, suggesting he might have some potential. Realizing this, she agreed to be his proctor. A few minutes later, they strolled through the city. Astoria explained that they had to complete 3 quests: helping out an orphanage, demolishing a building, and walking a dog. Soon, they arrived at the orphanage. Saria told Seichi she couldn't handle that quest, claiming she was an expert at caring for kids, which made the unimpressive nun cry. Shortly after, Seichi couldn't help but admire Astoria's impressive figure as they headed to the next quest. They reached the building set for demolition. Not wanting Astoria to see him as weak, Seichi attempted to collapse the building with just a touch. However, it ended up collapsing on top of him. Astoria thought he had met his end as she began to remove the rubble to pay her last respects. But then Seichi emerged from the debris, proving he wasn't defeated yet. Astoria was furious with Seichi for being reckless, reminding him that adventuring wasn't for the inexperienced. During their 3rd quest of walking a dog, Seichi almost met his end when a giant wolf chased him, leaving Astoria blushing. Back at the guild, Gustal and Adriana asked if they had a place to stay, and surprisingly, Astoria offered her room. The following day, Astoria tasked them with gathering herbs. While Saria returned with the required herbs, Seichi brought back mushrooms, prompting Astoria to send him back for the right ingredients. In the bushes, he stumbled upon 3 hideous demons who, after making threats, summoned a giant troll that he surprisingly managed to defeat. The demons quickly fled, and later, in their lair, their she-demon master reprimanded them for their failure. Astoria then informed Seichi and Saria that their final challenge was to hunt slimes. However, when Seichi struck a slime and it vanished, Astoria detected a nearby teleportation spell, urging them to return to the guild. On their way back, Astoria inadvertently activated a teleportation spell, transporting them to the dungeon of the Black Dragon Demon God. Inside the dungeon, Astoria suggested that Seichi might not be as worthless as she once thought, and handed him a guide stone. But soon, a trap split them apart, and when Astoria faced a zombie attack, she dispatched it using her Thor axe. Meanwhile, Seichi and Saria discovered a chest that attacked him. After defeating it, he leveled up and found a ring of misfortune inside. At the demon's gate, Astoria confronted a demon dragon but was gravely injured, dropping her axe. Just as the dragon was about to finish her off with flames, Seichi used his cloak to shield her from the fire. When Astoria regained consciousness beside Seichi, she watched him summon twin blades, ready to engage the demon dragon with a mid-air attack. The dragon struck back with a powerful blast, but Seichi landed on his feet, realizing it was a formidable level 5000 foe. As the demon dragon swung its tail, Seichi leaped into the air to narrowly escape. The dragon then cast a binding spell that immobilized him, smashing him against the dungeon wall, blood spilling from his mouth. Summoning Hell's Flames, Surya shouted for Seichi to use the water binding spell. In response, he conjured crashing waves that flooded the dungeon. As the dragon unleashed fire, Seichi dodged with instant movement. The dragon attempted the restraining spell again, but Seichi broke free just in time to avoid electrocution. He charged at the dragon, viciously slashing it into pieces and destroying the beast. The dragon disappeared, leaving behind bones and a chest. Touching the chest, Seichi leveled up and gained dragon powers, uncovering the Black Dragon God Gem to enhance his physical abilities and magical strength. After consuming the gem, he acquired the spatial magic skill. Inside the chest, he found a long black coat that offered substantial impact and blade resistance, although Surya remarked that he looked like the Grim Reaper. He also discovered the Dragon Demon Lord book and studied its history. Realizing they needed a way home, Seichi cast a black hole spell, and they emerged outside the dungeon. On their way back to the guild, Astoria, who was unconscious and being carried by Seichi, woke up and asked to be set down, but Saria silenced her. Astoria then revealed her tragic backstory and explained her title, Bearer of Calamity, which brought misfortune to those around her. When Seichi inquired about breaking the curse, she replied there was no way and that she would only bring him bad luck. Upon reaching the guild, Seichi reassured Astoria of her value, but overwhelmed with emotion, she ran away, prompting him to pursue her. During his search, he met Adriana, who urged him to stay close to Astoria despite her curse. Using the guiding stone, Seichi located Astoria at the spot of their first test. Touched by the acceptance of those around her despite her curse, she felt overwhelmed when Seichi held her and promised he wouldn't abandon her. In a moment of inspiration, He decided to negate her curse and double her luck by placing the ring of misfortune on her finger, vowing they would find happiness together. This brought tears to her eyes, and she pushed him away, running off again, leaving him pondering what qualities women looked for in men. The next day, Seichi noticed Astoria was avoiding him, thinking he lacked emotional insight, but Surya reassured him that something was off. Their hunting quest was cancelled due to Astoria's mood swings, so Seichi decided to gather intel about the new world while Surya spent time at the orphanage. Later, he sought advice from Gustel and Adriana, but it proved unwise. Gustel informed him about a hero's summoning and gave him a map to the library for more information. Meanwhile, in Kaiser's kingdom, the king was concerned that Zakiya, the royal trainer, had halted practical training for the summoned heroes. His pig-nosed advisor suggested using enslavement bracelets for control, which the king considered. At the library, Seichi read a magical tome that granted him new abilities. While Surya played with children at the orphanage, Astoria ran from her feelings for Seichi. He then met May, an animal girl selling paintings, and surprised her by buying one. Following a delicious scent, he found a cafe where he enjoyed a meal and met Rans and Node. Meanwhile, Astoria confided in Adriana about her feelings for Seichi, who struggled to express himself. At the cafe, Seichi shared Astoria's situation, and Node informed him that giving a ring on a girl's left ring finger symbolizes a vow of eternal love, suggesting he would face serious consequences if he attempted to leave her. Realizing the gravity of his actions, he felt anxious. They assumed he was interested in another woman, prompting Rans to suggest he cultivate feelings for both. After thanking them, Seichi left the cafe, acknowledging his cluelessness about women. He intended to explain the situation to both ladies when Astoria approached him, kissing him deeply and confessing her desire for him, even though she knew he was exploring Seria's affections. Just as he was about to act on his feelings, they were interrupted by Seria, who told him he was free to pursue another woman, setting a progressive example for women everywhere. Overwhelmed, Seichi cried as both ladies accepted him and referred to him as daddy, envisioning a harem. The next morning at breakfast, Gustel insisted that Seichi needed a horse, asserting that every adventurer should have one. He rummaged through his seemingly endless collection of junk and produced a map. Seichi gagged at the foul stench wafting from Gustel's stash. Later, he used the map to locate a horse shop, where he encountered a bearded dwarf who mistakenly believed Seichi was entering the Royal Cup horse race, which promised the winner a belly dance and freedom. Seichi wasn't keen on competitions and instead asked for a deer horse, which tragically died almost immediately. Next, he was shown a wild, aggressive mare, infamous for her fierce temperament. As the stable owner entered her enclosure, she stomped on him, knocking him out cold. Seichi then gained the ability to understand all languages and listened as the mare vented about the owner's incompetence. When he told her to be quiet, she dared him to step into her cage. The mare lunged at him, but Seichi managed to grab her legs and evade her strikes. After she finally surrendered, the mare introduced herself as Lolun and deemed him worthy. The store owner regained consciousness, pleading for his mother and insulting Seichi's looks. Infuriated by his disrespect, Lolun headbutted the owner against the wall. As Seichi and Lolun strolled through the streets, they stumbled upon a man reprimanding May. When Seichi stepped in, the man told him to mind his own business. May recognized Seichi as the one who had purchased her paintings. The man, Clay, pressured May to enter a painting contest following the Royal Cup horse race, suggesting that Seichi would be eager to buy her artwork. Seichi examined May's paintings, wondering if he had thrown up on the canvas, and declared them worthless. Noticing her uncertainty, he proposed to enter the Royal Cup horse race competition himself. When Lulu agreed to participate in the painting competition, Mick found it risky, but Seichi promised to join as long as she entered. A few days later, the Royal Cup competition began, and all contestants prepared for the race. As the race started, Lulu fell behind, prompting Seichi to ask about her delay. She admitted she had missed breakfast, so he rummaged through his item box and gave her the fruit of evolution. Energized, Lulu sprinted forward at incredible speed, cheered on by Astoria and Syria. She charged into a horde of fierce grand wolves, knocking them against the arena walls. Facing a massive wolf, she ordered it to move and delivered a powerful kick to its nose, knocking it out cold. Lulu leaped over the fallen creature and continued the race, leaving the other competitors stunned. In the end, they triumphed, and Seichi thanked her for the victory, promising endless food. Overcome with emotion, she transformed into a breathtaking beauty, no plot armor needed. Syria and Astoria witnessed the astonishing transformation. Seichi tried to explain that the stunning woman was Lulu, but Astoria accused him of cheating and felt he deserved punishment. Syria believed him, recalling her own transformation after consuming the fruit of evolution. At that moment, Astoria took Lulu shopping for clothes. While at the store, two imposing figures, Claudia and Warna, burst in, identifying themselves as Valkyries from Wimberg Kingdom. They bound Seichi with a spell, declaring him under arrest. Meanwhile, in the Demon's Kingdom, Layla welcomed the leaders of the Demon Lord's army. She asked about Lucia, who entered with a grotesque demon. They discussed forming an alliance with the humans of Wimberg. The overweight demon warned against it, citing the humans' history of persecuting demons. Layla mentioned that Seichi fair and square had defeated the Black Dragon God, but Lucia insisted on peaceful coexistence with humans. The fat demon predicted disaster if they pursued the alliance. A random demon silenced him, causing the fat demon to flee, warning of consequences. Seichi was taken to Wimberg Castle, where Louise, the head of the Valkyrie, summoned him for a mock duel with wooden swords. At the Academy of Magic, Kanazuki and Kenji encountered Oyama and two others, who taunted them and proposed a contest. Kanazuki declined after Oyama was slapped by Kanazuki. As Seichi and Louise battled, he deftly evaded her strikes, impressing Claudia and Warna with his skill. Louise, astonished, wondered about Seichi's sword's hidden abilities. Seichi shyly asked to conclude the duel, but Louise was dissatisfied and insisted on one final deep thrust. As she launched her attack, Seichi activated his sixth sense and enemy detection skills, effortlessly dodging her strike. In a swift motion, he knocked the weapon from Louise's hands and plunged his long wooden sword deep into her, compelling her to yield as Claudia and Lorna gasped in disbelief. Louise approached, demanding he refer to her as Daddy and promising to care for him. Just then, Claudia invited Seichi for tea, joined by Louise, who reiterated her wish for Seichi to be her master. Suddenly, a piercing scream interrupted them. Rushing outside, they encountered a palace maid who informed them that the king had been attacked. The Valkyries hurried toward the king, while Louise insisted Seichi stay away from palace affairs, asserting that an outsider should not intervene. Stubbornly, Seichi cast the World Vision spell, projecting a hologram of the palace that showed the assassin escaping. He recognized the assailant as Oliga, a child in bondage. In an unexpected move, Oliga made a low-budget Batman-style entrance from the roof, launching a dagger at Seichi, which he caught with ease, surprising her. She quickly threw another dagger, which he also caught. His inner voice noted that his reflex defensive skill had improved. In his astonishment, he mistakenly hurled the daggers back at Oliga, pinning her cloak to the wall. With a surge of strength, she freed herself and charged at him with a flurry of attacks, which he easily dodged. Unable to talk her down amidst her relentless onslaught, he flipped into the air, disappearing and reappearing behind her, knocking her out and wondering how a child could dare to attack the king. The Valkyries stormed in, and Seichi informed them that Oliga was responsible for the king's attack, surprising them all. Louise instructed Lorna to interrogate her. Seichi inquired about the king's condition, and Claudia revealed he had been stabbed with a cursed blade, sending him into an eternal slumber akin to a male sleeping beauty. No one had figured out how to break the curse. Seichi pondered how to lift it and insisted they take him to the king. In the king's chamber, Seichi discovered that King Rans was Louise's elder brother. Florio, the leader of the mages, urged Seichi to use his power to awaken the king. After crafting a spell, Seichi broke the curse and Rans awoke, grateful and offering a reward. Meanwhile, in Kaiser Kingdom, Zakia was furious at the king for sending summoned heroes to the Magic Academy. The king dismissed him as foolish, but Zakia warned of a potential revolt. The king's pig-nosed advisor sinisterly assured Zakia that the enslavement bracelets on the heroes would prevent rebellion. Suddenly, an arrow shot at the king, but Zakia deflected it and was ordered to pursue the assassin. The advisor warned that the king of Wimberg was forming an alliance with demons and preparing for battle. The king assured him that he had dispatched the best assassin to eliminate Rans. Back in Wimberg Kingdom, Artoria, Saria, and Lulu visited Seichi. Artoria mentioned Saria's jealousy during his time with the Valkyries. As they talked, Louise hurried over, calling Seichi's name, triggering Artoria's territorial instincts and nearly leading her to confront him. Louise introduced herself as the head of the Valkyries and Seichi's apprentice. Saria claimed to be Seichi's wife, Artoria declared herself his plot partner, and Lulu stated she was his servant with unlimited access to her plot. This revelation shocked Florio, who called Seichi a key player and expressed admiration for his boldness and a desire to learn different plot styles from him. Moments later, Lorna began to interrogate Oliga. Known for her terrifying methods, Lorna's tactics frightened Cece, who felt sympathy for Oliga as he watched her approach. Realizing Oliga was uncooperative, Lorna resorted to extreme measures, presenting a bowl of pork cutlets, making Cece wonder if they were in a scene from a Bollywood film. She taunted Oliga with the food, insisting she reveal the truth so they could both eat. Growing impatient, Cece kicked down the door, declaring her methods futile. Defending her actions, Lorna insisted she could refine them, but Louise ordered her to step back. Eventually, they offered Oliga the bowl of pork cutlets, and she devoured the food hungrily. Louise explained that Oliga wore an enslavement collar that forced her to obey the commands of the one who placed it on her. Cece inquired why they didn't simply remove the collar instead of resorting to ineffective interrogation. Oliga replied that the collar was impossible to remove. Any attempt would result in electrocution. Meanwhile, in Kaiser Kingdom, the king received troubling news about Oliga's failure. However, his advisor reassured him that she wouldn't be able to divulge their secret because of the enslavement collar. Back at the castle, Cece, using magic, attempted to remove the collar from Oliga's neck. Cece, inspired by Abraham Lincoln's emancipation speech, conjured a powerful liberation spell that shattered Oliga's collar, freeing her and causing her to burst into tears of joy. She shared her tragic story about the beast folk who were enslaved in the Kaiser Empire, with her mother taken to a concentration camp. Oliga had been raised as an assassin for the royal family, and though Cece offered her a place with them, she feared the Kaiser Empire would come after them. He promised to protect her when the time came. Meanwhile, in the demon lair, the fat pig demon conspired with the Kaiser King's advisor about the alliance between the demon lord's daughter and the king of Wimberg. Back at the castle, Cece trained under Florio to develop his water magic. Louise informed him that she had to lead the Valkyries against increasing monster attacks at the borders. Soon after, Gustel and Adriana arrived to introduce Barnabas, an old mage, to the king. A guard rushed in with news of a massive horde of boss-level monsters approaching from the forest. At the border, Louise rallied the Valkyries to battle the winged monsters, unleashing a powerful water spell that obliterated them. Meanwhile, the pig-faced demon reveled in the strategy of leaving the capital undefended. In the throne room, Cece and the knights prepared for the incoming attack, worried about how Surya would fight in her human form. Lulu vowed to protect her food supply, while Oliga offered to join the fight. As the monsters drew near, a fat knight, looking like Donkey and sucking on a pacifier, prepared for battle. A muscle-bound man smashed things around him, and 3 perverts from earlier joined the group. Gustel and Adriana transformed into attractive cat ladies, ready for the fight. Gustel charged at the monsters and others joined him, while Cece wondered why they all rushed in. Cece was about to join but was held back by Barnabas, who advised him to watch. During the battle, Gustel confronted a giant troll swinging a huge log. He flexed and smashed the log apart. Adriana used her electric whip to zap the troll, defeating it. Gustel quickly punched through another troll while Adriana tied up more trolls and sliced them with her whip. The fat knight threw baby bottles filled with dynamite at the monsters. The perverts used fire punches to obliterate a troll. Surya smashed a monster with her gorilla arm, and Artoria captured a dinosaur-like beast with an ice prison spell before destroying it with her axe. Lulu fought hard for her food, while Oliga displayed her skills as an assassin. Barnabas told Cece it was his turn and cast a spell that rained blasts on the monsters, followed by a tornado that swept many away. A report came in about a horde of boss-level monsters approaching. With monsters surrounding them, Cece cast the Judgment of God, summoning lightning that annihilated the creatures. After leveling up, Rands thanked him as his women rushed over, with Oliga asking for a head pat. Barnabas offered Cece a teaching role at his academy, which he reluctantly accepted, promising Louise he wouldn't leave the capital until she returned. Surya would be a student, Artoria a fellow teacher, Lulu a martial arts coach, and Oliga his assistant. Days later, Cece took each of his women on dates, treating Lulu to an all-you-can-eat restaurant, taking Artoria shopping and to a movie, and bringing Oliga along for a fun park day with Surya. At the painting competition, Siti attended with his ladies as artists showcased their work. May impressed the audience with her painting of Sishi and Lulu, titled My Hero, which earned her first place and a scholarship to study art. Soon after, Louise and the Valkyries returned to the capital. Louise wanted to join Cece at the academy, but felt responsible for protecting the capital and the king. Meanwhile, in the demon lair, the pig-headed demon, still shaken by Cece's lightning, received a call from a woman he recognized as Angry. The demon lord urged him to create chaos for his resurrection, and Angry suggested targeting the children at the Magic Academy, a plan the pig-headed demon eagerly accepted. Weeks later, Cece set off for the academy with his ladies, bidding farewell to Louise and the kingdom. They encountered an unexpected visitor, Captain America, who humorously claimed he had dropped from a Hollywood movie just to say hi.